Raw before SummerSlam is now in the books. We are going to take a look back at this week's Raw right here on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. As we know, SummerSlam is this Saturday night. Going to be a huge, huge show. Raw this week, you know what? It's centered around. We had the Seth Rollins giving out his referee instructions for the show. Obviously, Finn Balor and Gunther go to war as well. Wyatt Sicks, and this is where we're going to start. The Wyatt Sicks unmasked this week on Raw. Yes, they decided to unmask Rowan, Gacy, and a very new look Dexter Lumis. There was a video that played after that and about Uncle Howdy and Dexter Lumis, but they finally unmasked. It was in a match where the Creed brothers were beat Otis and Tozawa. And at the end of that match, there was a bit where Gable was going to go after Maxine. Gable had the ankle lock on Otis. Maxine comes in. She slaps Gable around the face. The lights go out. Gable done a runner. At this point, the Wyatt Sicks are shown coming down to the ringside. They unmask on the apron where Rowan and that is Nikki Cross flies off the top rope onto the Creed brothers. Gable has hightailed it outside at this point. And then we see Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy right behind him, and Gable does a runner. But that wasn't all. It is announced that next week on Raw, the Wyatt Sicks will make their in-ring debut with Gable and the Creed brothers. So that should be a very interesting part. And we're finally getting to, I suppose, to the end of the whole, kind of reveal from the Wyatt family. We knew who it was, or the Wyatt Sicks Wyatt family. We knew kind of who it was. Nevertheless, we wanted to maybe set their backstories out, and they've been playing out in videos. So we're finally coming to the end of that and the start of them in-ring competition, which we will see next week after Gable asked for the match, funnily enough, next week, and he got what he wanted. But whether or not he does want that, it is another thing. But we will find out next week on Raw when the Wyatts take on Gable and the Creed brothers. Elsewhere on Monday Night Raw this week, Sheamus and Bronson Reed had a good old meat slapper match, which unfortunately got interrupted by Pete Dunne, who hit Sheamus with the shillelagh behind the referee's back, and that led Bronson Reed to hit a tsunami and to pick Sheamus 1, 2, 3. What we do know is that there is not going to be a match at SummerSlam between Sheamus and Pete Dunne. I would imagine, that would happen perhaps on a Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam. The match itself was actually really good. It was what you could expect from both Bronson Reed and Sheamus. Bronson Reed is kind of stuck a little bit in limbo at the minute on Raw. I do like Bronson Reed. I think there's a lot of good stuff about him, but there is, again, we've spoken about this on SmackDown, where there's just so much going on elsewhere on the show that it's difficult at the moment. Obviously, we've got the Punk situation, the Wyatt Sicks, the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan, Rhea, all of this stuff, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker going on, that it's difficult for, kind of the ones that are not involved in that to kind of break through. With SmackDown being the same with the Bloodline, and I think even the world title was taking a backseat until this coming week on SmackDown, when it's actually on the line at SummerSlam. So it is kind of a difficult situation to be in right now on both shows, really, if you're someone that's not involved in title pictures at the minute. And it's and hopefully in the next few, once we get past SummerSlam, maybe things will change up a little bit. We'll get new challenges to championships. A lot of things will change. So we'll hope for that, and we'll find out as obviously WWE rolls on after SummerSlam. Another interesting point this week on SmackDown on Raw is revolving the women. Now, Damage Control have been a bit sort of out of sorts recently. And this week on SmackDown, after Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler won a six-man tag match against Lyra Valkyria, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter, they ended up challenging Dakota Kai ended up challenging Sonya Deville to a match next week, and they're basically saying that they need to re-establish some order on Monday Night Raw, which is interesting. Does that mean Damage Control are now going into a face change on Monday Night Raw? Is that something that's happening? Because now Dakota has challenged Sonya next week, so it is interesting to find out where they're going to go with that. I'm not so sure. I mean, Damage Control did get involved at the end of the match after the Z360 was hit. They got into a brawl with Damage Control. Excuse me, Io Sky delivered the over the top moonsault to the outside on them. And I'm just wondering now, is Damage Control switching it up? And we've got a new, because you've got this new trio in Deville, Baszler, and Stark, is that freeing up Damage Control to come over as faces on Monday Night Raw? Interesting times for that one. I'm really sort of looking forward to that because it's kind of been, a while since Damage Control have, been a forefront of a program, mainly with Bayley and the program leading up to WrestleMania. It was, but we'll find out next week. I think we'll get a greater idea next week as to what's happening with Damage Control on Raw going forward. Something else on Raw going forward was Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods. They finally sort of had their match. It's been brewing for a while. This match, and the match itself was actually really, really good. And it showcases talents of both guys. The final prayer from Karrion Kross picks up the victory. And again, you just kind of think, I don't think with Karrion Kross, and I love Karrion Kross, I think he's extremely talented. He's got the total package, really, for what the WWE would look for. I just think that he was ruined under Vince McMahon when he debuted on Raw after kind of from NXT in the mask without Scarlett. I think that's killed him. And I don't think the WWE can get any more out of it. I think it's done. The Final Testament is it's great, but I can't see it getting anywhere because of the believability of Karrion Kross. I think did he not come up and lose to Jeff Hardy on his like debut after about 3 seconds? Wasn't that how he debuted on Raw? I can't quite remember. I'm pretty sure his first match was he lost really quickly and he just killed it. And at that point, it's done. At that point, you can't come back from that, especially when you're, when you just debut. I mean, the Authors of Pain, you would, the Authors of Pain should be dominating the tag division on Raw. They should be absolutely dominant on that. But again, they've really done nothing since it's come up. It's just kind of been, let's bring these talents back and do nothing with them. I mean, it took them, weren't they on the payroll for like 18 months on WWE before they even come back recently with Karrion Kross? But I like the group. I like them all in the group. I just don't think they're going to go anywhere, unfortunately. Which is a shame. But we'll find out. Could be proved absolutely wrong on that. In some cases I have been proved wrong. So let's wait and see. An interesting visitor on Raw this week, and it was Jesse the Body Ventura. We haven't seen him in a WWE for years. And Triple H, you saw a picture of a video of him greeting Jesse Ventura backstage. Really interesting to see if anything comes from that other than just he was there visiting. Jesse Ventura was such a great person in the WWE, great play-by-play, great wrestler. He come back. I think like he was the one responsible for, well, not the one responsible, but he was the one that put the match together that led to Sheamus winning and becoming the beating John Cena to win his first world championship. And he put a match together where it was people that have never had a title shot at the time on Raw when he was, I think he was guest GM. They were doing the guest general manager shows, and his one was a match where these guys that had never won the world champion or never had a world championship opportunity would have a match, and the winner becomes the number one contender to John Cena, and Sheamus beat John Cena in his match. I think it was a tables match, I want to say. I'm pretty sure John Cena flies off the top rope for a table, and Sheamus won the heavyweight championship. So it's been a while since we've seen Jesse Ventura. It's good to see him, and hopefully, perhaps there's going to be more to come from Jesse Ventura in the WWE. The Intercontinental Championship is obviously on the line on Saturday. Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn in a match that I said last week that I think Braun has to win, and 75% of you agreed with me on the X, on the Twitter. that said that Brawl Breaker needs to beat Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. Sami Zayn this week was taking on Dominic Mysterio on Monday Night Raw, the Judgment Day. Still in the process of the Liv Morgan stuff. They will get into that in a minute. The match itself was actually really good. Again, it's another really great match on Raw. The wrestling on Raw this week was fantastic. I really enjoyed the matches they put on this. Just as Sami Zayn looks like they had the victory, he hit the haluva. He goes for the haluva kick. I'm sorry, he doesn't go for the haluva kick. Let me. There was a blue from the block. The blue, fuck me, it's Tuesday morning. I'm shattered. He goes for the blue thunder bomb, and the Judgment Day then gangs up on Sami Zayn. Jey Uso comes to the ring, makes a save. Now, Jey Uso earlier on took on Carlito and beat Carlito. And he has a big stage dive, but Braun Breaker comes into the ring as well. A explode suplex. I'm struggling this morning on him. But as Sami Zayn goes to the haluva kick, Braun retreats to the outside. For me, it is still a must-win situation for Braun Breaker in terms of credibility, in terms of everything else that he stands for. He has to win the Intercontinental Championship on Saturday night. For me, it's got to be done. They've got to pull the trigger. They shouldn't have brought him into that, that level without, only for him to lose. It can't be. He can't lose. He can't lose Saturday. Credibility will be shot to pieces, and it's time for Braun Breaker to get some gold, the Intercontinental gold. Definitely time for Braun Breaker on Saturday. Has to be one. So Sami Zayn Big Dom by DQ, and Raw rolls on. Judgment Day's penthouse or backstage area, whatever you want to call it, was smashed to bits. Another funny line in that was Carlito saying to Rhea, "Do we get a new PS5?" But she blamed Liv, they blamed Jay. That's what led to the Jey Uso Carlito match earlier on that day, which Jey Uso picked up the victory on. The Liv Morgan, though, did cut a promo, an interesting one. Do you know how it feels to have your heart break down? It takes your breath away. It feels like you can't breathe. I would have done anything for you, Dominic. I put you on a pedestal. I treated you like the man I thought you were, but you're not a man. You're just Rhea's little bitch. I wish I could take back every single tear I wasted on you, but I can't, because all I can do now is make your life a living hell. At SummerSlam, I will complete a Liv Morgan revenge tour when I beat Rhea Ripley and leave Dominic with whatever's left of precious little mammy. Meanwhile, I'll be standing in that ring with my arm raised as I hear those words, Women's World Champion. Watch me. Now, interestingly enough on this, it will be interesting to see if Dominic aligns himself with Liv. I still think Dominic's turning on Liv this coming Saturday at SummerSlam. I really do. I think that is going to be what happens, and he aligns himself with Liv. Judgment Day, as we said over the last few weeks, have been on the verge of a breakup. With Damian Priest seemingly kind of turning. Rhea Ripley is a face. Well, you assume she's a face because of Liv, and Liv's a heel, so you think that that's happening. And then half the other members of Judgment Day are heel, so it's kind of like they're moving towards that kind of split. It should be happening anytime soon. As I said, SummerSlam seems a great point to have Dominic do the dirty on Rhea, which then could lead to something happening on Raw next week. So there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of questions to be answered on Saturday. And I really still believe that Dominic is turning on Rhea on Saturday and will align himself with Liv Morgan, at least temporarily. I don't know how long that will last, but that's my belief for sure. Damian Priest and Gunther will get into the final part of Judgment Day in a minute before we get to Seth Rollins' refereeing laying down the referee's law. Damian Priest did have an interview as well, just basically by saying how he was, on the streets, how he grew up on the streets, and people were saying that, he's got no heart, and things like that. He's called Gunther an arsehole. He said the WWE ring was supposed to be a place of salvation, place for me to forget about my past. But at SummerSlam, the ring will become the streets. You're going to get mugged because I'm going to rob you of the idea that you're going to become world heavyweight champion. He's lived to fight for everything he's got, and he's now willing to die for everything that he has. And he asked if Gunther was going to do that, and he says, "Welcome to my neighborhood, General." And this is a really good thing from Priest. It's nice to see that he's opened up on the past. And this is why I'm saying he's more of a face now. That was a real face promo about, hey, look, my past. This is what I've done in my past. I'm a changed guy, but I'm going to go back to the past at SummerSlam because I need to take you out, Gunther. And are you ready to face me at basically how he used to be? So really, really good promo from Damian Priest. It was a face promo as well. Ready for the Ring General on Saturday. I still believe that Gunther wins that match. I am a strong believer that Gunther wins the match. Now, Gunther and Finn Balor had a brilliant main event match to main event Raw this week. It was such a great main event. It ended up with Gunther putting actually one of a classic finish on. He beat Finn Balor with the sleeper of all things, the referee stoppage. Basically, Finn passed out to the sleeper hold. Gunther refused to let go after the match, and him and Priest had a brawl to end Raw. Priest, kind of had the upper hand as Raw went off the air. He was ground and pounding Gunther at the end of Raw this week. It was really, really strong main event. Sets up that, and again, you look at both title matches, and up until recently, the SmackDown title match hasn't really, because of the whole bloodline stuff that's kind of gone on in its own way on SmackDown. You've kind of forgotten about the World Championship has kind of been left at the wayside because of the Rhea, Liv, Punk, and McIntyre and Seth. You've kind of been forgotten about. But because it ended that way, it's brought you nicely back to the right spot, to that bit where you are fully invested in the world title and it means something again. For me, Gunther does win at the weekend. I truly believe Gunther is going to get the job done on Damien at the weekend somewhere or other. Maybe even with Finn Balor costing Priest the World Heavyweight Championship in some way, shape, or form. But we will find out. Last talking point on Monday Night Raw this week was actually the start of Monday Night Raw this week. We've gone about it a bit arse about face, but hey ho, it is what we do on the channel. We talk about bits and pieces, and this has been the biggest bit of stuff on Monday Night Raw for some time now. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk will come to blows on Saturday, finally, at SummerSlam. But with the referee being none other than Seth Freaking Rollins, who come out, well, he's got a referee shirt, all right, but yeah, less said about that, the better. Listen, he needs to deliver his refereeing instructions today, which is quite funny. He called out both the guys at ringside. He did say to CM Punk and Drew, look, if you lay a finger on each other tonight, the match is off. And if you lay a finger on me tonight, the match is off because I'm the only one that's brave enough to referee as you've scared off the other referees. CM Punk went to the outside. I was like, well, there's nothing for me to do here then in this case. And then they basically, they were talking about how Punk's not scared of Drew, and Punk was saying how Drew's biggest kind of mistake is him, like as in Drew himself, because he gets himself into positions where, like, he won the championship at WrestleMania, but he made a mistake because instead of just walking away with his family, he picked a fight with Punk. Punk cost him the match. Drew then, made another mistake because he kept calling Punk out. And all of that sort of stuff led to Clash at the Castle, where CM Punk cost Drew the World Championship. And now Drew's obviously got CM Punk's little band, which has got his wife and his dog on it. So the Punk was basically saying that, the biggest mistake that Drew makes is Drew McIntyre. They were talking about the hatred of Seth Rollins was saying, I hate both of you guys. Drew was trying to politic his way to kind of getting Seth on side by saying, look, we don't like each other. I'm an arse, you're an arse sometimes. But the bottom line is we have one goal, and that's, being the best that we can possibly be. It's this guy's the cancer, Punk's the cancer. And Seth was like, I just hate you. He still said it, there's one guy that hates you as much as Punk does. It's me. So it was nicely done to sort of say, well, Seth's gonna, potentially call this down the middle. He doesn't like both of them. Punk doesn't seem to think that is the case. But basically, Seth Rollins is refereeing calls are you listen to what I say goes. He said, I will count when I want to count. You will tap out when I want you to tap out. He said, count outs. I might count to 10. I might count to 20. I might count to a million. And he went, disqualifications. Yeah, he went, referee's discretion. So there doesn't seem to be too many rules in this match on Saturday. I'm not, that's one of the matches that I'm not sure about who's going to win. I'll say Punk because I think Punk probably needs, I don't know, does Punk need the win more than Drew on Saturday? It is one of those ones where anything is possible and anything can and will happen. So that's the match I'm really looking forward to. Not because I think it's going to be the best match on the card, but obviously with all the stuff that surrounds it, that's why I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens with that match on Saturday. Raw was good. It was a great way to shift it into SummerSlam. Really, as I said before, really looking forward to SummerSlam itself and everything that's going to happen. May get a predictions show squeezed into this week. It's a busy week on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, that is for sure. And I'm talking about that, obviously, we're going to be doing all the review shows this week as normal, and including an interview. The man that returns to the channel ahead of NWA 76. He is the overman because he's over man. The NWA World Heavyweight Champion EC3 will be joining me and Fiona for a sit-down interview later this week. But guys, keep it locked on Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you so much for making stuff blow up around YouTube and whatnot. It's great to see. And yeah, just thanks again. Keep it locked at HTT Buckle on Twitter, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all social media outlets. And until we are back later this week, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.